Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are delighted to present a special program to you for World Vegan Month. My name's Lisa Levinson. I am the campaigns director for In Defense of Animals, and I am here today with some of my esteemed colleagues and our guest. We're here, just a little couple introductions. We've got Mary Esensey, who is with our development team.
Hey, thanks for being here, guys.
She'll be helping with the chat. So for those of you who are with us on Zoom, you can chat with Mary. And then we also have Lia Wilbourn, who is our farmed animals campaigner. And this is actually her webinar that she's presenting to you today. So I'm really excited to hand it over to Lia and she can introduce our special guest today. Thank you, Lia.
Thank you. All right. Hello, everyone. What an honor this is for all of us. And I just have to say that when it was brought up to me, who would you like to have and feature for World Vegan Month 2025? Dr. Sailesh Rao was the first person that came to mind. So I am so happy that he was available today to join us. So I'm going to get to him momentarily. And first, before we dive in with Sailesh, I'm just going to share my screen and we're going to go over some of the things that IDA has been doing recently. And that's also just very much in alignment with the principles and goals and beliefs of Sailesh and his incredible organization, Climate Healers. All right. So, planetary justice, veganism, and bold advocacy with Dr. Sailesh Rao, founder of Climate Healers and the Vegan Coalition. The Vegan Convergence of the Peoples. He will tell you all about that. That just happened in Toronto, and I'm the Farmed Animals Campaign Coordinator. So we had World Day for the End of Speciesism. This is a day celebrated and amplified around the world by advocates and organizations to raise more awareness about really the scourge of speciesism that is really the underlying way of viewing the world and other animals that has caused so much suffering and exploitation. It's the human supremacy mindset of domination and enslavement and discrimination. And that really that is where so much oppression against humans and all the other forms of oppression begin in that mindset. So the purpose of this day, and this was in San Francisco, some of us here in Northern California celebrated it with the San Francisco Vegan Society. And we are just making sure to get that message across that there is no difference between a human animal, a dog, a cat, a wild animal, and a cow, a pig, a chicken. There is no difference in all the ways that matter. So I also gave a talk and presentation at the Sonoma County Veg Fest recently on the myth of humane animal farming. And even a lot of that was very much inspired by Dr. Sailesh Rao's work, as I also got into that it's not really just about factory farming as the problem, and that really, as far as humane treatment of animals, if you're buying an animal product, there's no way that it's humane. There is no humane way to exploit or kill someone who doesn't want to be exploited or killed. So I also have an article on the farmed animals campaign section of In Defense of Animals called Fixating on Factory Farms Limits True Reform for Animals and the Planet. And it's to point out the environmental factor too, that if everybody were to switch to grass-fed and regenerative, which is so much of what we hear is the great alternative to factory farming, that would be even worse for the planet. And Sailesh can get into that. And then more on humane washing and speciesism and delving into the deeper issues of what it really does to our spirit and our character and how we view the world, how that affects us when we are going along to get along and taking part in oppression, but silencing our voice because it's all that we've been taught as children, and pointing out the damage that that is doing to our human species. And the San Francisco World Vegan Festival was packed. It was a beautiful thing to see. there were many vegan festivals that happened in October and November. So we are also featuring in the month of November. World Vegan Day was November 1st, but we have support groups. And on Thanksgiving Day, we will have a support group at 5 p.m., the Animal Activist Ongoing Monthly Support Group. And then we have our Vegan Mentor Support Group, which is the second Monday of each month at 4 p.m. This is both Pacific Standard Time. And we have a current alert that can go in the chat. Mary, if you could add that to the chat. Urging the American Veterinary Medical Association to reject ventilation shutdown and to stop claiming that it's an acceptable way to kill animals. None of it is acceptable. So we're really bringing that to the forefront and targeting the American Veterinary Medical Association and the USDA to challenge these outdated principles. And we're having an online event next week with Dr. Crystal Heath, the executive director of Our Honor. The Interfaith Vegan Coalition that was started by In Defense of Animals, co-founded by our lovely Lisa Levinson and Judy Carmen, and it helps advocates bring vegan values and ethics into their communities, working with all wisdom traditions and faiths. And in 2021, they had the Homo Ahimsa Award. So Ahimsa, the Sanskrit word for nonviolence, non-harm. Now, Homo sapiens is the Latin for that, is wise human. However, is it really wise, as Sailesh has pointed out beautifully before, are we really the wisest species when we don't even know what to eat that is best for all earthlings and the planet? They tend to view the world our species has through a lens of domination. So Homo ahimsa is a new human species that we are becoming to live from our true nature as loving partners with all living beings. And Sailesh and his granddaughter Kimaya were the first recipients of the Homo Ahimsa Award in 2021. To bring it back to the animals, just to give us that baseline before we proceed, I'm going to just show briefly this little video, our vegan wake-up call. All right, thank you everyone for your support and for attending. And now, just right before we introduce our esteemed guest, just a little brief intro. This was his speech, incredible, epic, powerful, beautiful speech everyone must see at the Oxford Union. And I'm just going to show the first introduction and then the last couple of minutes where he also speaks of the year 2026. And we will hear from him if he really meant that as a prediction or as an aspirational vision.
But it seems clear to me that if we could estimate these factors and include them in our calculation, we would find that animal agriculture is responsible for, wait for it, more than 100% of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere. It's really my privilege. Social good comes from animal agriculture. Nothing. Only obesity, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, biodiversity destruction, soil depletion, falling of our waterways, antibiotic resistance, dangerous and dehumanizing work, animal cruelty, climate catastrophe, world hunger, and let's not forget pandemics. Indeed, there is nothing that will not improve when we end the cruelty and folly of exploiting animals. I have just given you the intellectual reasons to go vegan, but lasting change comes not from the head but from the heart. In that regard, I have made a pinky promise to our granddaughter Kimaya that the world will go largely vegan by 2026, which is the year we will have killed almost all the wild animals on earth if we do not change course. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that true to your 200-year tradition of rebelling against false orthodoxy, this House will once again break away from the herd, see the cow in the room, and vote for the proposition to help our generation keep this sacred promise for all the children of the world. Thank you for your consideration from the bottom of my heart.
All right, and now to introduce Dr. Sailesh Rao. He is the founder and executive director of Climate Healers, a nonprofit dedicated towards healing the Earth's life support systems. He is an environmentalist by occupation and systems engineer by profession. He invented the protocol for transforming early analog internet connections to more robust digital connections while accelerating their speed tenfold. He is now a human, earth, and animal liberation activist, acronym HEAL, HEAL. And he is championing a vegan rewilding system solution to our global environmental, health, and ethical crises that he calls Planet B. This is his latest book. It is incredibly beautiful, profound. Everyone must buy it. There is a Planet B. Welcome, Dr. Sailesh Rao.
Oh, thank you so much, Leah. That was such a beautiful introduction.
Thank you.
Thank you for all the work that you do at IDA as well. I have a presentation to share. Can you all hear me okay? There's a lot of noise here. I mean,
Yes.
well, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you today about a systems solution to what ails our planet. So how would you address climate justice and transformative change, bold change? So Leah mentioned that I wrote a book called There is a Planet B, and which got released in Oxford this year, April. And I'm now working on a follow-up. I'm at Belém in Brazil for COP30 and speaking at the Supreme Master TV booth. And I have to tell you that I've been giving this presentation. Now, this is the 7th time I'm giving this presentation. And it is a big hit, at least in Belém. So let's see, let's go through this and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So I'm a systems engineer by profession, which means I analyze systems. I understand why they behave the way they do. And I synthesize systems. So I show you how you can solve the problem if you really want to solve the problem. So before I begin, let me give you a brief primer on what systems are. A system is an organized framework for solving a problem, for accomplishing an objective. And we have systems in everything. No, we have systems in our body. We have circulatory system, a nervous system, a digestive system, and so on. And when these systems are all functioning correctly, they work together and they create a healthy human being. But if a system within this interlocking set of systems is not functioning well, let's say the circulatory system stops functioning, then you don't get oxygen to your cells and your other systems also start failing. So ultimately, death is just the catastrophic failure of systems, of interlocking systems. Now, we have a planet, and this is the only living planet that we know of. And this planet also has systems for maintaining the life support on the planet. These are the life support systems of the planet. And I've been studying these life support systems for the last 20 years. And I have to tell you that I am worried about what is going on. Okay? Because the life support systems, there is only one planet that we have studied, whereas we have studied millions of human beings. So we understand how human systems fail and how death happens. Since this is the only living planet that we know of, this is the only example that we can study. And we have been messing with the life support systems of the planet as human beings. And this is why I'm here at COP, because COP is a conference of parties, and this is the 30th meeting that's happening, the 30th year that we have gotten together to talk about this. And there hasn't been much progress made. Right? In fact, things are getting worse and worse and worse. So I studied why is it that we haven't made much progress? And one thing I can point out as to why we haven't made much progress is that we keep applying what is known as the drunkard's search principle to solve our problems. It's a story about a drunkard who's looking for something under the streetlight. And a policeman stops him and asks him, "What are you looking for?" The drunkard says, I'll drop my keys on the other side of the street and I'm looking for them. The policeman says, "So why are you looking for them here when you drop them on the other side of the street?" And the man says, "Because this is where the light is." Now, this is exactly how we have been trying to solve all of our environmental problems. We are looking for a solution where the light is. But the solution is not there. The solution is all around the light. It's not in the light. And what do I mean by light here? In this case, it has to do with economic growth. It has to do with making money for somebody. So if a solution makes money for somebody and grows the economy, then we apply it. If it doesn't, we keep looking for a solution that makes money for somebody and grows the economy. That's the principle we've been using to solve our problems. Now, the life support systems of our planet are showing signs of great distress. This year, we were told that we crossed the 7th boundary on the planetary boundary transgressions. So ocean acidification has now gone from green to yellow. Now, the life support systems are shown in these 9 planetary boundaries. And if they're all green, it means the Earth is healthy. If it's orange, it's cause for concern. If it's red, it is outside the bounds of stability. So it could destabilize at any given time. If it is pink, it means it's gone to an unstable position already. So we don't know if it will come back. So it's high risk of destabilizing the planet's life support systems. And you can see that there are 2 of them that are in the pink zone. That novel entities, which is chemical pollution, and biodiversity loss, biosphere integrity. That's in the pink zone. So these 2 are at high risk of being destabilized. Now, the yellow zone I show you there is part of climate change. Now, climate change, you can notice, is only the 4th worst of the planetary boundary transgressions. Nitrogen and phosphorus loading is worse than that, and chemical pollution is worse than that, and biodiversity loss is worse than that. And yet, you hardly hear anyone talking about these other 3. The media focus is on climate change. And within climate change, the media focus is on just fossil fuel burning. Because that's how you can grow the economy and make money of selling electric cars and solar panels. And that's where the focus is. Now, if you look at all 7 of these planetary boundary transgressions, when you ask, what is the one thing we can do to address all 7 of them? It turns out we have to address the food system first. Because the black dots here in this figure, which was published in 2017, it's a while ago. So not everything is red at the moment in 2017. But you can see the black dots, they represent the impact of the food system. And you can see the food system is primarily responsible for nitrogen and phosphorus loading, for biodiversity loss, for land system change, for water change. And it was portrayed as not being the leading cause of climate change. And this is why this portrayal is also by massaging the data. It's not real. Because when you look at it really, even for climate change, the food system is the leading cause. Why? Because of the amount of land we use to raise animals and the amount of food we get from that land to feed our animals. So this is a block diagram from the IPCC, and it shows the thicker the line, the more stuff being used. Okay? So the thickest lines are going into the livestock systems. And this is where animals are being fed. Okay? So in fact, we extract more biomass from the planet to feed our animals than for all other human activities combined. And the animals are only giving us, you see the thin line coming out of the monogastric block and the thin line coming out of the ruminants block. Together, that's the amount of food that's coming out of the animals. And the thinner line goes into this other block, which represents the skin and the blood and the bones that are used to, create fur coats and leather shoes and so on. That's in the other block. So by the time it goes to the food processing block and comes to the plate, the human plate, it turns out that every pound of food that we get on our plate, we had to feed the animals 39 pounds of food. Okay? So from output to input, there's a 39-to-1 loss that happens. If you look at how we really use the earth today, only 1% is cities and railroads and shopping centers and so on. That's the built land. Unused land is 19%, that's deserts and mountains. 22% is monocultured, 22% is monocultured trees, and which we call forests in the UN. Because the UN considers any 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer grid with 10% tree cover as a forest grid. So most of it is just monocultured trees, and wild animals cannot live there. That intact forests are only 9% of the land area of the planet, and that's where the wild animals are still living. 37% is used for grazing animals, and then 12% for cropland. And half the cropland output is being used to feed animals. In fact, more than half. The latest report is more like 2/3. So if you look at the food that we get on our plate, 85% of the food we get is already coming from plants. Only 15% comes from animal sources. 12% comes from the land animals, for which we are using 43% of the land area of the planet. And then 3% comes from the ocean, for which we are bottom trawling or dragging a net from the bottom of the ocean on an area the size of South America every year to get just 3% of our food. So it turns out that if we really want to solve all the problems that the earth is facing in the life support systems, we have to figure out a way to go from 85% to 100% on the food. If we did that, we can return 40% of the land back to nature, on which we can bring back the forests that we cut, restore habitat for wild animals, bring them back, and immediately start healing the planet. Okay? So this is a lifestyle change for the planet that we have to do if we want a living planet. Remember, we don't know how planets die. So we are now playing with fire, and we sort of let the planet go into the pink zone or the purple zone there. And to accomplish this, as a system, we have to change the entire system, entire living system. So I call this the two loops theory of change. And I take this from the Berkana Institute. Okay, so they pointed out that big living systems are hard to change. You really have to start over and create a new one. And this new system is what I call Planet B. So what is Planet B? Planet B is the world of Planet A turned upside down. On Planet A, we were there, so we were heating up the planet. We created systems, human engineered systems that are in conflict with the life support systems of the planet. The conflict has gotten to the point where the life support systems are almost ready to die off. Now we have to figure out how to switch everything around, okay, and turn it into planet B. So this is a systematic way of doing it. Begin by identifying the intractability of the old legacy systems, identify all the foundational myths that are driving the system, and replace them with the truths. Because if you don't have the right foundations, your system will fail. And we've seen it time and again. Okay? So if you really want a system that works forever, sustainability is what we are all after. You have to create a system on foundational axioms that are valid. Then you have to drop invalid goals like economic growth, and then add valid goals like zero animal exploitation, which makes all the other goals easy to meet. And then design a system that's based on health, rewilding, and circularity from scratch. And then figure out transition pathways to go from planet A to planet B. Help everybody come along. And then I say you have to keep going around in a loop, because you have to make sure that the new axioms that you've chosen, are they still valid? So you have to keep verifying that they're still valid, and whether we have created new systems that are actually also going to become unstable, right? So legacy systems are hard to change. We still have colonialism. We still have slavery. It's just masked in different ways. And even though we abolished it 100 years ago. So this is why we have to rethink our entire system. Here are the foundational myths that I've identified on planet A. Endless growth as the master objective. Every country wants to grow. Every corporation wants to grow. And I say, at what point do you stop? No, we'll never stop. We always want to grow. That is a recipe for disaster. Then consumption and commodification is social logic. Third myth is separation from nature and human exceptionalism. No, we are not separate from nature. We've always been a part of nature. And humans are not an exceptional species. We are part of the species of life. Okay? We are just like any other species. And then misspecified responsibility for ecological breakdown. I showed you, food system is the leading cause of almost all of those. Okay? Why are we focusing just on climate change and portraying it as just fossil fuels? Because we want to make money up. That's a misspecified responsibility. And finally, technological solutions for environmental constraints. We think that there is some technology that's going to solve the problem coming down the road. And here is what I propose to be the axioms on planet B. Interdependence of all life. Number one, non-violence and zero animal exploitation. Zero animal exploitation, by the way, is SDG number 18 that's proposed by the Beyond Cruelty Foundation. And honesty and humility as design criteria. We're not the boss of the planet. We are here as one more life on the planet. So let's have some humility. And let's be honest when we account things, when we take care of things. And finally, and then universal provisioning within planetary limits to make sure that everybody has access to healthy food, as opposed to making sure that millionaires have access to caviar, which is what the systems are designed for today. Then distributed participatory governance and technology subordinated to life. So these are the axioms on which you can build a new system. Drop invalid goals like decent work and economic growth, goal number 8. Because everybody is just pretending to address all the goals at the UN by just growing the economy. And I'm saying, when do you stop? No, they never stop. They say you have to drop this goal, otherwise your system will always fail. Then include zero animal exploitation from the Beyond Cruelty Foundation as a valid goal, because it makes all the other goals easy to meet. Yeah? So when you do this, you are promoting vegan as vitally engaged guardians of animals and nature. That's who we are. That's what vegan really represents to me. We go vegan for the ethics, for ecology, for health, for spirituality, but eventually we begin to see all of it. And it's a way of living that seeks to exclude, as far as possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. And science is screaming at us to go vegan. The earth is screaming at us to go vegan. Okay? So that's what the data is telling. And to accomplish this, to really build this, We can start with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The reason I start with this is because 195 nations have signed on to it. And they've all said they're going to meet all of these goals by 2030. So I'm saying, okay, let's do it seriously, shall we? Drop goal number 8, add goal number 18, and let's do it. Let's meet it by 2030. I can show you how to do it. So let's design systems for no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education. All the other goals are great. Let's meet them. But only when you drop goal number 8 and add goal number 18, and make it a serious enterprise. And we have to do this as if our house is on fire. Because when your house is on fire, you don't sit around saying, how many packs of cigarettes can I smoke? No, stop smoking. Put out the fire. And then we can talk about your habit. So temporarily, I'm saying, drop animal consumption, get to a vegan world as quickly as possible. Let's bring all of the life support systems into the green zone. And then let us discuss. Maybe the next generation can discuss whether you can go back to exploiting animals. I said, don't do it once you've done it. Why would you do it? But urgently, we have to stop animal exploitation as quickly as possible. And because our planet is on fire, it used to be the 3 boundaries were crossed in 2009, became 4 boundaries crossed by 2015, 6 by 2023, and 7 by 2025. If this isn't a fire, I don't know what is. So we have to do this seriously. And I say that this is a project that our ancestors started 50,000 years ago. And we have been running, heating the planet, preventing it from going back to an ice age for the last 10,000 years. We have succeeded. And now to get to a sustainable world, we have to make a U-turn. And it's worth it, folks, to finish this, to do it right. But if you go straight, there is a McDonald's with a clown standing outside and enticing us to come in. And he's going to kill you if you go there. So please, it's a choice we have to make, but let's make the right choice as quickly as possible. So that's my presentation. You can download There is a Planet B PDF from this website, climatehealers.org/4u/books. And there's a paper that we are writing, and it's almost complete, but you can find the preprint here. So it's gone through all the reviews, and it's going to be published in the Planetary Health Alliance special issue of Challenges. As you can see, I'm at the UN. There's a lot of activity going on around here, and I'm open to questions and discussions.
All right. Oh, that was so illuminating. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. Wow, it just really gives everyone such a broad, profound, deep perspective into all of this. And I mean, I would like to tell everyone, please, please get this book. There is a Planet B. He goes into so much depth on these issues. And I wanted to ask, I just have a few questions too, and I think there will be some in the chat, of course. But because I know that people have asked when they've seen your speech, Plant-Based News actually titled it the greatest environmental speech of all time. And I know that at the end, when you talked about your granddaughter and the pinky promise made to her, because she was asking you what you do for, you said, this is what I do for a living. I help animals. And she said, well, you're not doing a very good job because they're still being hurt, right? And then she said, make a pinky promise that you will. So you want to tell us more about that? And what was your reasoning behind the 2026 statement at the end of that speech, where it sounded like you were predicting that the world would go vegan by 2026, but of course I figure you knew that that would not happen. But why did you frame it that way?
Well, I'm still not giving up on that, the world going vegan by 2026. Why? Because it's the only rational solution out there. The only rational solution out there. So, I mean, do you have another planet to go to? I mean, I don't see any other planet. That even Elon Musk is not really getting on his spaceship and going to Mars. Yeah, he's pretending to do it, but he's not doing it. So if your house is on fire, do you not change your habits? Do you not change? Do you still say, I have to have coffee at this time? No. You put out the fire first. our house is on fire. So this is a very, very serious prediction that I made. The world has to go vegan by 2026 if we want a fighting chance to save a dying planet. Okay?
Yes.
And people are already giving up,
Yeah.
saying the planet's going to die and we are all going to die. And I'm saying, well, you haven't even deployed the biggest weapon you have, which is, veganism. The number one solution we have, which is veganism. If you haven't deployed that, how can you give up? How dare you give up?
That's right. That's right. How
Right?
dare you?
How dare you give up? And that's, we're having a press conference at the UN Blue Zone on Tuesday. I won't be here because I have to leave. But I'm going to write a speech basically saying this. How dare you give up on us when you have not yet deployed the most powerful tool that we have at our disposal, which is veganism. Create a plant-based world as quickly as possible.
Thank you. And what I so love about your work and the way that you advocate, which is honestly somewhat rare in the animal advocacy space, is that you don't advocate for just reducing suffering within the systems of exploitation. That you say, no, no, zero exploitation, no exploitation of any sentient being is acceptable. And that's where
Right.
we should begin. And that it is actually just the baseline. And that's where we begin, but we also have to speak up. That is what's
Right.
so important. And I know that you and Faraz Harsini are aligned on this too, that you also, and he was our guest a year ago. He was the person we had our vegan advocacy conversation with. But I love that. I just think it's past time now that animal advocates need to just start speaking plainly. And I think the key in what you do so beautifully is the way you speak about veganism. You express that, no nonsense, it is an ethical urgency, but you actually convey it in all the different ways and all the how it is the most important thing that we have to do if we're going to save our species and all other living beings, and just for the basis of it all, which is kindness and mercy and compassion. And how can we be a compassionate species if we're continuing to exploit our brethren and our fellow earthlings? So thank you for that.
I'm going to find a place where I can plug my laptop in because because it's running out of juice. Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
please keep talking, and I'll be walking with my laptop.
Okay. Actually, my next question, and I will just read to the viewers here. I love there at the vegan convergence of the peoples that just happened in Toronto. They have 7 task forces, and I honestly wish that the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit would adopt this method, because it has 7 different assignments and what are the most important things that we can do to shift this planet into planet B. So there's culture shift, flood the culture with images, stories, role models, and products that make plant-based living feel normal, aspirational, joyful, and easy. Institutional change helps schools, hospitals, government programs, corporate cafeterias, everywhere food is served, to rapidly default to plant-based first. Number 3, justice framing. Link veganism to justice, not just kindness, not just compassion, not just reducing suffering, but link it to justice. Are you back? I think he's still getting his. I'm going to continue. Link it to climate justice, food insecurity, indigenous rights, racial justice, and public health. Make it morally obvious, not just a matter of taste or preference. And then tech and media leverage. We must own the cultural conversation, short form storytelling, viral campaigns, humor, art. I'm just reading what Sailesh's incredible plan is and the 7 task forces at the VCOP. Reach hearts before you reach minds. Local models create plant-based communities that thrive visibly. Farms, cooperatives, villages, cities, proof of concept for a vegan world. Accessibility, work to reduce cost barriers, increase accessibility, and dismantle the false image of sacrifice that plant-based living must look and feel like abundance, not deprivation. And finally, number 7, which I love so much, leadership activation. Help animal advocates and all advocates for humans, religious leaders, politicians, educators, scientists, and artists to acquire courage. We need leaders, this is his quote, who are not afraid to say, the future is vegan, the future is nonviolent, let's build it now. Are you back? You'll need to unmute. I hope you heard some of that. Just repeating your own words.
I did. Thank you so much. Yes, I heard that. Yeah. Kind of went in and out, but yeah.
You're doing a great. I didn't even know you were at the United Nations, so oh my goodness. So do you want to tell us a little bit about how VCOP went in Toronto and the 7 task forces? And do you agree with me that the Animal and Vegan Advocacy Summit should adopt these task forces?
I would love that. You know, I really think that all of us should be coordinating our efforts to push for this as quickly as possible. Now, this is to me birthing Homo economicus and birthing a new version of humanity. And the EVA Summit, if it adopted this, it would be so awesome. You know, it's not systematic, right? A systematic way of accomplishing our objectives. And to me, that's what systems engineering is all about too. It's about figuring out how to solve problems and 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 getting everyone engaged in solving the problem. Because when people are engaged in it, they put their life into it. Yeah?
Right.
I mean, I felt a phase change happen during VCOP. I felt like I was on planet B. You know, that everyone has now already come around saying, yes, there's planet B and let's do it. That's what I felt in Toronto. And it's building that momentum, you know, through EVA. It'd be so awesome if we did that.
I so wish I could have been there. I wish everybody could attend. So it's just getting larger and larger each year. Do you know where it's going to be next year?
We are planning one in 6 months as opposed to a year because
great.
it's becoming so urgent. You know? So probably one in Los Angeles would be
Oh.
great if you can organize something like that in Los Angeles.
Wonderful, wonderful. And one other question.
Yes.
We're hearing background things. What is your advice for people? Because I know so much of people's resistance to advocating for veganism in the way that we just talked about it is, of course, the tension and discomfort that comes up with friends and family and just society. Give us, please, your advice for how to speak about this with just your average citizen.
Yeah, for me, the easiest way to speak is to speak from my experience.
Yes.
And I tell them that I'm vegan for this reason. And I'm vegan because I sense the urgency of why the world having to go vegan as quickly as possible. Okay? Beyond that, I tell them this transformation is from fear to love. So we are creating a system of love as opposed to a system based on fear, which means love always comes with choice, the freedom to choose. We do not force love on people. Right? So it's up to you to choose. But I'm saying there is a way out. And we are leading you, we are showing you that there is a way out. There's a planet B that we can build in which everyone can thrive. Not just human beings, but also all animals can thrive.
Beautiful. From fear to love. That is so, that's it. That's it. Thank you. Well, we have 2 minutes left. We're going to have to go over a little bit if you happen to be available.
No problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind all the noise around you, because that's the only place I know where there's power.
Hey, you're making the best of it. It's all fine. Thank you. Yes, we can still hear you. So, of course, I have so many questions. I'd love to talk to you for 3 hours. Yeah, Mary, are there any questions in the chat that we'd like to bring up?
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao, for the presentation. I thought it was amazing. In the chat, what is the first thing you talk about when speaking to a meat eater to get them to think differently? First thing.
First thing, it depends on who it is. There is no one way of doing it. No? Depends on who it is. You have to understand their point of view and sympathize with them before you can really decide what is the first thing to tell them. So normally I just live my life and I live it very openly and honestly. Yeah. And when anyone asks me any question, I answer them honestly. So
Awesome.
the authenticity is what. Sorry?
Sorry, I thought you finished.
Yeah. No, it's the authenticity that helps people open up and tell you what is their worry. And then you can go from there.
Right. Thank you so much. We got a question from Steve, who is, really good at asking questions here. So he says, how do we cut through habit inertia and government subsidies for cattle and flesh culture?
It's highly systemic, right? So we created a system over time. It's not that we designed it this way. It's just subsidies got added, and then those who had subsidies never let go. They wanted more and more and more. So they became more and more powerful. So this is how a system organically grew into what it is today. Right? So how do you cut through this? You have to show people what the data I just showed you. You have to create a story in a simple way that helps people understand why this is the leading cause of all of our problems and how we can actually solve all of our problems. Honest. So then, now once people see the data, they ask, how do we do it? It's not, should I do it? It's how do we do it?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to how do we do it, then we say, okay, let's create subsidies for healthy food. In fact, let's make healthy food free, because it's going to be impossible for you to take away subsidies from the meat and dairy industry. They'll fight tooth and nail. Let's make healthy food free. You can do that. And now people have an option to eat healthy food for free or go pay $5 or $10 for a McDonald's. They'll choose. Let them choose. This is how you slowly bring people around to the right way of doing things. So I'd say make healthy food free. Start with food deserts.
Yeah.
Start with food deserts where people are already hurting from eating unhealthy food. So let's make healthy food free. So these are the ways in which I think we can clearly overturn a system and create a new one.
Yeah, that whole issue too. I mean, of course, whole plant foods are. I mean, there was a study done not long ago that is 30% cheaper. It's the simplest, most affordable, healthiest way to eat and to live. And yes, the subsidy system is blocking so much of this. And we've done a lot of alerts, targeting Congress and the USDA, because they're the ones that are really funding this. 800 times more subsidies go to animal ag than plant-based. But as you said, which I so love, that first you start with the why, and then you start to talk about the how, because when people feel inspired and compelled and realize the urgency of it, that is up to us to convey the urgency of it. Not just that even one animal being killed, this is what I always come back to. If that was your dog or your cat, number one, anyone you cared about, how urgently would you want what's happening to them to change if they were in a slaughterhouse? That's where you begin. And then you say, our planet is dying. Here's the facts. We are beyond the point of no return. We have to stop. We have to stop exploiting animals, because that is the basis of all of it. And then you start with the why, and then you give them what you just said. Thank you. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions? I have one other one too, Mary, unless we...
I think you should ask yours.
Okay, well, also just because of the time, in case anyone starts dropping off because of the time, I just want to reiterate, go to climatehealers.org. And I know there were some questions like from Jack too, because of course, Dr. Rao, you did the white paper that proved, right, that you want to talk about that actually, the 87% figure. Yep. And now it's over 100%.
So the white paper was basically a systems engineering analysis of climate science. And it took into account all of the greenhouse gas emissions and the cooling gas emissions and put it all together and said, and it also took into account the opportunity cost, which is all the land we are using for raising animals. What could we do on that land? How much could we sequester on that? So every time we make a choice to eat animals, you're saying, I do not want forests to come back. You're basically preventing forests from coming back. And that is a cost that has to be accounted for by any good engineer. Okay? So to me, a good engineering analysis of climate science will reveal that animal agriculture is by far the leading cause of climate change. And my estimate of 87% was a lower bound. Meaning I'm saying it is at least 87%. It's not more than that. Okay? In fact, the later figures from the latest IPCC report have come up with 118%. Now, this is on an annual basis. If you look at cumulatively, it's more than that. So what that says is that if the world goes vegan, they can literally heal climate change. They can reverse it. That's what it's saying. Now, people will argue, well, the forest won't come back because we have destroyed it so much. Well, we destroyed it so much, fix it. We have grown forests from barren land. If we can do that from barren land, we can do that from anything. So let's fix this planet first. Yeah? And if you say, I cannot fix this planet anymore, let's go to Mars, what are you going to do over there? This makes no sense to me.
Insanity. It's not an option, people. Not an option. Yes, Mary.
I got another question from the chat. This person asks, how are your conclusions received at the COP in Brazil?
The talks have been packed. I mean, I couldn't believe how many people are so interested in this now.
Great.
And it's mostly young people.
Yeah.
Below the age of 30. I see a lot of them, like the Loving Hut group where I'm giving all my talks has been packed. Not just for my talks, but everyone's talks. Because not only are they giving, are we giving them information, we're also giving them food. And there's hardly any good food available here except with food. So, and the young people are very engaged.
Yeah.
They go into details. They want to. In fact, my talk today, I only gave one today. Okay? My talk today, it was the same presentation I gave you, but it was interpreted into Portuguese.
Wow.
So I had to speak sentence by sentence, and the interpreter would speak in Portuguese. And so it took about 40 minutes or so for the talk to be done, but the discussion went on for 2 hours.
Wow.
So it is very well received because once people understand the point we are making, which is urgent that we have to make this transformation, and the sooner the better, right? Then they start getting into the how. They got into the why. Now they're getting into the how.
That's such a good point. We did get one more question in the chat, which is kind of news to me, but apparently Prince William requested a vegan meal. And Wendy's curious if that had an impact on other people who were present.
Yeah, actually, people are discussing it. Prince William, for the Earthshot Prize, asked for a vegan meal for all 700 attendees.
Yeah.
And in fact,
Awesome.
the original chef quit because he didn't know what to do. And so, but they got a vegan restaurant owner from the Apollo to do it. And so she stepped in and filled it up. So she made it
Wow.
happen.
That's
So
awesome.
it's a sign that even those in positions of power are beginning to recognize that
Yes.
this is the only way out. Yeah. So this is why I think it's important for us to be very vocal about this and to keep talking about it. Let's bring the conversation around to this and make it happen. And I mean, to me, zero animal exploitation is basically baseline. I mean, we need to be not only zeroing our animal exploitation, we need to be supporting them. We need to be bringing them back. We need to be making them healthy, right? So there are lots of wild animals that need our help.
Exactly. I spontaneously at the end of my talk on the myth of humane animal farming that went into so many other things, including the environmental impact. But I just realized, and I said to everyone, veganism is the baseline, but think about this, like most people, everything I just shared with you for this last half hour, most people have no idea about what I just shared with you. So if we don't share this with others, just being vegan is not going to change the world. We actually have to speak, and we have to start practicing and following people who inspire us, who can motivate us to start speaking up, because just being a quiet vegan is not going to get us there.
Right. So I've spent a lot of time, over the years to try and simplify the message as much as possible. I realized that the message is complicated. So I'm trying to show people why this is the only way out I see for the planet. Now, I hope my presentation today was simpler than what I had given before.
Yes, it was so lovely and illuminating and powerful. Yes, and I hope everybody, this is going to go out on YouTube, so we are going to share it around. It's being recorded, and just to respect everyone's time, and I know that Mary and Lisa might have to go, so we could talk so much more, but Dr. Sailesh Rao, thank you so very much. It's been one of the deepest honors, honestly, for me in my life. So Lisa, you can.
Apologies for the delay in joining you. So I took 10 minutes of your time.
Well, we appreciate you are on site right now. You're actually there in the midst of this, and we so appreciate you joining us from this incredible conference where you are making a huge impact. And this is the perfect way for us all to celebrate World Vegan Month together. You're making it happen around the world, and we are very
And let me
grateful.
show you the
Yes.
crowd at the booth.
Wow. That's incredible. So this is the crowd at the booth that you have, that you're sponsoring, the Climate Healers booth. So you are doing this right, mission in action, as we call it. Fantastic. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today with your incredible questions, and to Mary and to Leah to providing all of the support to everyone and getting the word out. Please do share this, and we will also be sure everyone gets a replay. And we want to thank you all and just celebrate Happy World Vegan Month, and to continue this beyond the holidays and into the next year. So thank you so, so much.
Happy World Vegan Day every single day of our lives. Yes. And thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you, everyone. And thank you, Sailesh.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Many
much.
blessings on your continued success at the conference.
ClimateHealers.org. Okay.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.